From 11-5 and in the Super Bowl to 20 years of pain with only 2 winning seasons, the Raiders took the term Super Bowl hangover to a new level. Rich Gannon had just won the MVP, and despite being blown out by the Bucs, the team had talent. On top of Gannon, they had receivers Tim Brown and Jerry Rice, and cornerback Charles Woodson, so you could be optimistic about the team's future, or could you? With a record of 123 to 216 and 13 coaches later, the future was obviously not bright for the Raiders. So what happened? The Super Bowl was a sign of things to come. The brutal loss was not helped by 1. Abruptly changing the game plan a couple days before the game, 2. The center Barrett Robbins, who had stopped taking his medication for depression and went to Tijuana on a drinking binge, and 3. Head coach Bill Callahan not changing the audibles. John Gruden, the former Raiders coach, and now on the Bucs, knew the audibles being used. And John Gruden was a big reason for the Raiders' success, bringing that winning culture back. Al Davis, not foreign to player and coaching drama, began to butt heads with Gruden and ultimately traded him to the Bucs. Maybe if the Raiders didn't lose to the Patriots in the infamous tuck rule game a year prior and gone on to win that Super Bowl, Gruden would have remained. Purely hypothetical and maybe not very realistic. But with Gruden at the helm, maybe he could have prevented the biggest issues that were looming over the Raiders: age and drafting. When they went to the Super Bowl, their MVP quarterback was 37, their number 1 running back was 30, and star receivers Tim Brown and Jerry Rice were 36 and 40 respectively. On defense, Rod Woodson was 37, and Bill Romanowski was 36, just to name a few. And because they had an aging roster, they were also more prone to injuries. While they didn't look great the following season anyway, it was made worse with injuries to key pieces. Romanowski would end up on injured reserve, and Gannon would be out after a Week 7 shoulder injury. The passing game would struggle as a result. They finished last in touchdowns and bottom 5 in passing yards. Rice and Brown combined for 4 touchdowns and less than 1,500 yards. The next year, Gannon would suffer a serious neck injury, ending his career. Tim Brown and Rice would also eventually leave, and in an effort to bring their offense back to life, a trade for Randy Moss was made in 2005. Well, it didn't help. Moss cracked 1,000 yards, but they went 4-12. And with the team continuing to struggle in 2006, Moss would be shipped off to New England in 2007, where he'd find much more success. Within a couple years, the key faces that were on the Super Bowl team were gone, either due to injury, retirement, or free agency. This gave the Raiders an opportunity to reset. With a roster falling apart, it would be smart to focus on the draft, but it appears the Raiders preferred to sign old, out of their prime free agents like Warren Sapp, never committing to a full rebuild. With the picks they made, they missed consistently. But what probably hurts most for Raiders fans are players who literally went the pick after their selections. For example, 2004, Larry Fitzgerald went 3rd, Phillip Rivers went 4th. 2005, Aaron Rodgers. 2007, the biggest bust in NFL history. After dealing with poor quarterback play, the Raiders selected Jamarcus Russell, and well, we know how that went. That cost the Raiders 3 painful years and a lot of money. And things haven't got much better since. We're yet to see a turnaround, but the Raiders are one of the most storied franchises, and hopefully they'll return to relevancy eventually.